Hey guys, we're here with Andrea today, Woo's mom or owner, however you want to say it. And we're going to talk to her about her story with Woo. How old was Woo when you got him?
He was only 10 weeks old. He was
Where'd
a
you
puppy.
get him from?
I adopted him from a rescue.
Okay. And he was 10 weeks old when you got him. What type of training did you do with him initially?
So right off the bat, he was crate trained by me. And he didn't have free reign of the house. I had him in kind of probably like a 5x5 playpen. Whenever I let him out of the crate, he was in that playpen and he was required to stay there. He wasn't allowed to just run all over the house.
Okay.
Other than that, he didn't get any actual professional training until he was about a year old.
When did the behavior start, the behavioral issues? How old was he?
I feel like that's a difficult question to answer because I probably didn't realize he had a problem until he bit someone.
Okay. If you think back to before he bit somebody, can you think of a time in there where maybe he was starting to display certain behaviors?
Yeah, in hindsight, of course. He was very protective of his litter mate.
Okay.
So there was a situation where when he was at the vet, they let me know that he growled at them when they approached him in the kennel. Other than that, I'm not entirely sure of any other scenario because I didn't really take him out a lot. I didn't introduce him to a lot of people outside of the house.
Why was that?
It was COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
COVID did a number on a lot of dogs. So.
Yeah, it was COVID. So everything was closed. People were coming to the house. So he met plenty of people at the house.
Okay.
But I didn't really introduce him to people outside the house. We went on hikes and things, but I didn't really go to like coffee shops and ask them, hey, do you want to meet my dog or anything like that.
How was he when people came in the home?
He was great. I mean, well, he was puppy great.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Excited and happy to greet people.
Okay. And then let's talk about his bite history. He bit one person?
Yes.
Okay.
So that scenario, I was not present. I was leaving for the day to an appointment and I let my friend who was the owner of his litter mate take him on a hike with his litter mate and her boyfriend at the time.
Okay.
And so they went on a hike and on the hike, so her boyfriend was holding my dog. I can't comment on how. I would imagine not well and not controlled. And she was holding her dog. And they were walking up the hill. Two women were walking down the hill of the hike. And the girl excitedly ran up to Woo, arms all out wide. And she was also wearing all black, which he's triggered by all black, wearing all black because of the incident that he went through in a training assessment where they put him through a attack scenario.
Okay.
And so with that situation, he, from that point on, kind of had a problem with anybody wearing all black.
Okay, we'll get into that shortly then. So when was the time that you first decided to get him professionally trained?
I already knew that I wanted him to get professionally trained, right? I know that I'm smaller. I needed to be able to control this dog. There was no doubt about it. From day one, I had every intention on training him. So I had started looking for training places probably within probably around 4 months. I started looking and, I had every intention on training him in the very beginning.
And what was the first place you went to? You don't need to name them, but.
So the first place I went to was a place in the Valley, and that was the training assessment.
Okay.
This training assessment was with his litter mate and his litter mate's owner. We did it together, and the training assessment really just started out kind of normal, showing him, gosh, what is it called, where they take them up on agility.
Okay.
Right? So some agility and stuff like that. Then they came out and gave us this whole spiel on, like an example dog, basically.
Okay.
And then they said they wanted to do one more thing. And the end of the session was they turned off all the lights. They left just my friend and I and the two dogs, Woo and his litter mate, in the warehouse type looking place. And they shut off all the lights. They left. And when they came back, they had an umbrella. They were creating banging noises really loud. And then they came into the facility with an umbrella charging and then opening and closing the umbrella. So it was essentially trying to create the idea that they were going to attack me to see how the dogs reacted.
And how did he react?
He was terrified.
That is not
He soiled
surprising.
himself. Yeah, he was terrified.
Did he? Okay. And what was their response? What did they say at the end of that?
They just recommended the highest level amount of training.
And what was their training program? What did they recommend with that? Was it bite work?
No, they didn't recommend bite work. They recommended protection. They wanted him to become a protection dog.
Okay. And why didn't you go with that?
I didn't want him to be a protection dog.
Okay.
There was no need for him to be a protection dog. That's not what I had him for.
Okay. It's a good answer, for sure. When he was doing the agility with them, did he show any aggression then?
No, he was so happy there. He loved it there. He showed no fear, nothing, tail wagging. He was really, really excited to be there. No signs of aggression or being fearful or anything.
When he left that place, what was his demeanor like after that? Did you start seeing some behavioral problems?
Yes, so
from that?
what I started to see was anytime there was someone wearing all black, he was afraid.
Okay.
He would be afraid of them.
And how would you react to them?
So it started with him reacting to the TV. If he saw anybody on TV wearing all black or of darker skin color, he would just start barking at them and barking at the TV, jumping up. After that, again, I never really had him around people outside the house. So after that, I didn't really introduce them to a lot of people, so I didn't really see it. But honestly, I'm sure there was some signs that I probably missed.
Okay. What did you do next with him?
I found another training facility. That training facility did an assessment, and on the assessment, so that assessment included some bite work.
So in the assessment, they put him into bite work, right?
Yeah,
away?
so let me back up a little bit. When we came to the training facility, I had to use the restroom, so I passed Woo off to the training assistant. I left, went to the restroom. When I came back, the lead trainer had a bite sleeve on with the assistant holding Woo and basically pushing him towards doing the bite training. When I questioned why he was doing that, he said he wanted to find out if he was intending to bite him or if he was just playful. But there was no indication as to why he got to that point, right? I wasn't there. He didn't tell me that something happened.
So when you walked in and saw that, was Woo actively trying to bite him at that
Absolutely.
point? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
He was fully, biting the sleeve.
He was
fully
okay.
coming in
so
and
he was
biting,
on the bite.
yeah.
How long did that go on for?
Probably like 30, 45 minutes.
So they did repeated bite exercises with him.
Yeah.
And what was their suggestion for training with him?
They wanted to do a 2-week board and train.
Okay. Did you do it?
Yes. And then the 2 weeks turned to 3, but he was boarded.
All right. And during that time, was the focus bite work?
I don't think so, no. I don't think so. I hope not.
So what ended up happening with that training?
So that training, he was there for 3 weeks.
Was he with his litter mate on that one?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. He was there for 3 weeks. They did, what I understood of the training was that they were just doing obedience.
Okay.
Okay. It was just straight obedience.
Did they give you follow-up work with him?
They were supposed to, and they did not.
So you came in, picked him up after 3 weeks, and what did they say?
They said to come back and do a training, right? So I brought him back for a follow-up training. And in that follow-up training, the trainer was more interested in redeveloping a relationship with Woo than teaching me how to handle him, because when I brought him back, he wasn't a fan of the trainer anymore. So they had created a really good relationship while he was there. So he would send me a lot of pictures of him, cuddling him, kissing him, stuff like that. So they created a good relationship. But when Woo left and I brought him back a week later, he had started already wanting to go after him.
Okay, so when you took Woo out, that day you picked him up, what did they tell you? Anything? Practice this, practice that? Any tips, tricks, anything that he went through?
We went through agility when I picked him up. You know, he had some fear trying to climb like these stair-looking things. And so he wanted to take me through this agility course that he had there.
Yeah.
But other than that, there was no additional training.
Okay. And then after that, what was his behavior like in general? Were you seeing more?
I saw that he was doing better as far as more obedient. He would listen to me. He actually sent me like a list of all the commands.
Okay.
Right? I missed that part. He sent me a list of all the commands that he was learning. So I was continuing to use the commands. When I got home, I continued to use the commands and he responded really well to them. He was listening. And at the time, because I didn't understand that there was a bigger issue going on here, I was pleased. Okay, he trained him. I know what I'm doing. Just sheer ignorance, basically.
Got it. But he wasn't a fan of him when he came back.
No.
Tried to bite him? Or just very defensive?
I'll be honest with you, I really don't remember.
Okay.
I just remember that the main thing that he was trying to do was let out his energy. He had a lot of anxious energy going on.
Okay.
And so he was just playing with him, tug with him,
Right.
trying to like, I would imagine, I don't know if it's suppress or repress, like some of his emotions or whatever might have been going on.
Okay. So after that training, what did you see with Woo that made you think you need to go to another trainer?
The bite.
Okay, so the bite happened after that.
Yes.
Okay. And so after that bite, what was Woo's behaviors? Was he trying to bite people or?
I honestly felt like if I was there, this wouldn't have happened.
Okay.
Right? The way it was described to me, that the leash was just kind of like the person just like kind of let him run wild on the leash type of thing. But as far as how he was acting afterwards, it was more me.
Okay. You were getting more tense with him?
I was now wondering whether or not he should meet people. What I did start to realize was on walks, he would lunge towards animals that were highly reactive. So cats and...
He loves cats.
Yeah. On opposites day.
Yeah.
And he would lunge at any reactive dogs.
Okay.
So I was starting to see his energy match the energy of animals on walks. And that kind of developed somewhat of an unpleasant experience while we were walking because just ripping my arm out every single time he saw something he didn't like.
So then you had the bite and then you seeked out more of a positive only trainer?
Yeah, a friend of mine, his litter mate, was working with someone and she was having good results. So, mind you, they're entirely different dogs, but she was having good results. So I decided, okay, let me try and do outside training. Let's see what we can do.
Okay, so what was her approach?
Her approach was to avoid any scenarios that would cause him to react. So keeping him in environments that had very little distraction, truly just so like in the house, only training him in the house, training him in the backyard, in the front yard.
And how was that working?
He got 30 times worse. Like he was just so much worse after that. Anytime I would try to take him on a walk after that, and mind you, prior to this, I would take him on walks and yes, he would be reactive to some dogs, like I mentioned. If there was a reactive dog or cat, sometimes he would lunge at them and, try to go after them. But once I started this training, he was so excited anytime we would go anywhere outside the house that I just couldn't get him to focus and his behavior just became so much worse.
And how long did you train with her?
About 6 months, weekly.
Weekly, okay. And you were just seeing progressively getting worse. What was her response when you said, hey, it's getting worse, I need help?
She was she believed that we were building a foundation. And if we could get him to stay calm in the house and become, just non-reactive in the house, then we could start to put him in scenarios where we could reward him for not being reactive and continue to just reward and reward and reward for not being reactive. But there was a threshold there. Like we could never get past that threshold. And despite everything we tried, or I tried, he just I could never take him out of the front yard.
And so you reached out to her again, and you said something about you tried to work with her boss or her partner, or who was that?
Actually, it was probably a little bit more early on that she brought in the person who trained her.
Okay.
Okay. And that person had worked with aggressive dogs before. So the trainer, his main trainer, hadn't before. So this was kind of a new thing for her. She admitted that to me. She had said she wasn't familiar with it. I was okay with that. And she wanted to utilize the knowledge of the individual that had worked with
Basically
aggressive
her
dogs.
mentor.
Yes,
Yeah.
her
Okay.
mentor. Thank you. And so we did take him to go see her, and her mentor basically not only tried to train Wu, but also was training. Yeah.
Cut that.
That's what's hard too. I'm trying to not say names right now.
And that's one of the things that we're trying to do is the only person we're going to talk about in this is Dog Daddy, and I'll explain why when we get to that point. Our local trainers, man, they mean well, and we're not going to want to dime them out. But at the same time, I'm hoping they watch this to understand, you got to stay in your lane. You got to know where
when to give
your
up.
limits. Yeah, and when to refer trainers that specialize in this kind of stuff. So, okay, so you basically weren't getting anything. Her mentor, you were reaching out
Stepped
to her.
in, and we did one training session with her.
How'd that go?
The mentor was more psychologically focused. So
Dog psychology or human
dog psychology.
Okay.
She wanted to know every tiny little detail of what Wu had gone through. One of the things we didn't mention is he had surgery at one point before I took him to. So after the dog bite, that caused a lot of problems for him as well. So all of those things, we discussed all of those things in the session with her mentor.
Okay. So 6 months is up. You were saying to me before that you tried to reach out to the mentor to work with her specifically.
Yes, and I had basically let the trainer know that I wasn't getting the responses I was hoping for. She understood that I needed a little bit faster results, and I moved to trying to work with her mentor.
And what happened there?
She just didn't get back to me.
Okay.
Yeah, she never got back to me.
So after that, then the next trainer you went to, again, we won't name them, but tell me about that.
Okay, this is where it gets hard. So I had thought that what he needed with the positive only results not working for us, I had thought he needed, sorry, I'm going to need a minute.
It's okay. Take your time. So going to the next one, I know and I can feel your pain from this, but you have to understand you don't know what you don't know, right? Mm-hmm. When you go into these situations, you're trusting your trainer. You're trusting your trainer to do the right thing, but you don't know until you get into it. And you trusted this trainer, and this trainer, and I'm going to help you out here a little bit, okay, was heavy-handed with an e-collar.
Yeah, I trusted everyone. I thought that the route that I needed to go was when positive didn't work, let's go towards e-collars. Okay, I had done whatever research I could throughout this whole process. Now I understand he's flagged as aggressive, okay? Let's find out what kind of aggressive he is. Is it fear aggressive? At the time, I didn't know. Right. I had no idea. So I started following other well-known trainers online, YouTube videos, e-collars. And so, I'm starting to get desperate at this point. And I decide, okay, let me find someone that can train him with an e-collar. And so this person had been a trainer at some sort of training facility for like 15 years, and he left and he decided that he wanted to do his own thing. I had numerous conversations with him, letting him know already the situation and how I wasn't getting any results. And it was just like, it's going to be the easiest thing. It's not going to be a problem. I'll take care of it. We're going to train on the e-collar. And, he's going to walk out here, and either he's going to walk out here completely redeemed in 3 days training, or he's irredeemable.
And he just basically used the e-collar for punishment?
Yes. At one point, he double collared him, and Max. It was also a collar that was considered, I don't know what they call them, but it was the ones that run high. So double collared Max, he was yelping. So we weren't getting the results, right? And mind you, he told me if we don't get results, he's got a chemical problem with his brain. There was never a discussion of maybe my methods won't work for him and maybe somebody else's will. It was, mine are going to work or there's something chemically wrong with your dog, and then he can never meet someone ever again.
How was his behaviors after that?
So much worse. So much more afraid. Even the second session when I pulled up, he was freaking out. He's already registered pain with this individual or this location.
Right. And that was about the time after that you reached out to us. Is that right?
Yes.
How come you didn't come in?
That was me trying to look for an easy out. That was me not wanting to take responsibility for the part that I played in this entire role. It was me terrified of parting with him for 6 to 8 weeks and really just hoping that I could find an easier, quicker solution.
And you asked the other trainer about me, is that right? The positive only trainer?
Yes, I did.
You asked the positive only trainer about me. What was her response?
I personally didn't ask her. Woo's litter mate's mom asked her, who had been working with her, and she said that she wasn't a fan of your methods. Okay. She thought that if you have to use force, that there might not be, that she just didn't believe that force was needed.
And then after that, you went to Dog Daddy?
Yes. So I didn't learn my lesson.
Dog Daddy. All right, so Dog Daddy real quick is, and the reason why I'm naming Dog Daddy is because he's not a trainer in our opinion. He is a showman. There is no trainer out there that's going to be able to fix your dog in one session. Training takes time, but he's out there selling a dream, making you think he can fix your dog by coming to a group class, charging you $400, demonstrating how well he can use his defensive leash handling skills and shut the behavior down. But we want to clarify to people that you're not going to get results this way. And the only way to really demonstrate this to people is to show her story, her side of it, her experience with Dog Daddy. So let's go. Let's talk about him. How'd that go?
So I had been watching him for a while on social media. And again, still in my mindset that there's got to be a quick fix here. I can't part with my dog for 6 to 8 weeks. And I really combed those comments, like really looking for whether or not somebody said anything negative about this man, anything at all, that any sort of sign that he did not help them. And there's a lot of politics going on in those comments. But there were numerous ones that I found where people would say, oh, he helped my dog, right? My dog is so much better. Now I realize they probably weren't real. But anyways, I ended up booking a session. I did a group session and they announced, I want to say the day before where the session was going to be. And, when I show up and immediately he was reactive, I had him muzzled. He was very nervous, very, very nervous.
Woo was nervous.
Woo was, yeah. So the training itself really wasn't training. Dog Daddy came into the group session and talked about some basic, how he was going to handle, he was going to go through each dog and approach them. And then that's what he did. He started to approach each dog. And every time he would approach each dog, he would really just manhandle them the entire time.
Did you say flinging him around was a good?
Flailing, flinging.
So when you got to Woo, what was that like?
You met his match, for sure. Woo did not stop. No. He was not going to stop. He just kept going and being flailed around. Dog Daddy eventually just handed him back to me because Woo wouldn't stop. He did his rounds to the other dogs again. He tried to take Woo back and same exact thing happened. Woo did not stop. Woo would not get tired out. And that's what I was starting to realize, that he was getting just tired it out.
He's a tenacious dog. He really is.
So that was it, really. He was also training trainers there.
Great.
So
got more of them coming.
Yeah. So with that, he didn't want to handle Woo anymore because obviously that wasn't helping. And now it was, okay, let's try to train me. He did try to teach me how to walk with Woo around the area, but at the same time, he's doing this for everybody. Okay. So really, combined, you're getting maybe like 15 minutes of his time.
And then did he air Woo's story?
He did. He aired Woo's story, and I was floored. I couldn't believe it because the video showed basically Woo being great, really, really difficult. And then they basically cut it all and pieced it together in a way that made it seem like he just saved a dog in a day.
Did you ask him to take the video down?
Immediately contacted them, asking them to please take down the video.
Okay. And he did?
Yes, he did.
So now you've seen Woo, you've seen his other trainers, then you came to us, and we told you what our approach is going to be. Describe the difference between our approach and Dog Daddy's approach.
I mean, is there any comparison to it?
Well, when people look at it and you watch me doing my leash handling skills, there's some similarities.
Oh, okay. So you're not trying to tire him out. You're not just yanking him around trying to tire him out. You are trying to, what it seems like, is take control and let him know that behavior is not warranted.
That's fair.
At least that was my take from it.
I know you're very nervous your first lesson here. How did you feel when you left?
I felt really good, actually, really, really good. I was mostly nervous because I didn't want to part with him.
Right.
But I had nothing but positive thoughts about it. You were so confident. I had confidence in you. And it's important to note that at this point, I had no confidence in trainers anymore at all. I trusted everyone at first, and then by the time I hit Dog Daddy, or actually by the time Dog Daddy, I was just like, this is just fraud everywhere. There's fraud everywhere, and I got to find somebody that's going to help him.
Now, we've been airing Woo's story, and we've had a lot of positive comments, and we've had a lot of negative comments.
Right.
And we can kind of tell who the negative comments are from, tend to be the force-free, positive-only trainers. Did you get reached out to by one?
I did.
Tell me about that.
He first requested me on social media, and then based on his flag, or his handle, I thought that, he may be there to help or to admire, to applaud the situation or follow the situation, I'm not sure. And then he private messaged me telling me that he's there for me. He'd been following the situation, and he's there for me if I need somebody. And I let him know, thank you, I appreciate that, but he's in good hands now. And then that's where the criticism came rolling in. He sent me the video, one of the videos that you had posted. He sent it to me and said, well, what I'm seeing here is not this. You don't do this. You don't pin down a dog. This is not okay. And then soon thereafter moved towards calling me names. I'm ignorant, which I'll never pretend not to be ignorant here. Obviously, I'm ignorant, but it's, I have confidence in what you're doing, right? And if any trainer is going to approach somebody, please don't try and take their business, right? But also, I have to believe in this. I have to believe in it. And not only that, I'm seeing the results. So, whereas I hadn't seen the results before. So it was just wrong. In my mind, it was even worse is that he had said he understands because he had been through a similar situation. And, it's always, I have 100% results. And the thing is like...
Which is impossible, by the way.
Right.
I don't have 100% results. There's not a trainer out there that does.
Right. Thank you for saying that. That's really important. And not only that, just... if you know what this is like, who are you to bash me?
Right.
Who are you to tell me, that I'm making a mistake here, that I'm wrong for what I'm doing? Let me learn on my own.
It's the shame.
Right. Don't shame me.
Right. They're shaming you for trying something that doesn't confine or conform to their thought process, their ideology.
Right.
And so if you don't conform to how they think, then you are X, Y, and Z.
Right. And it's very ego-driven, and it's a shame because there's no doubt in my mind there are a lot of methods out there, and a lot of those methods work for a lot of dogs. But exactly like you said, saying your methods are going to redeem every single dog and turn every single dog into this perfect dog, it's false.
Yes.
Right? Drop the ego, sympathize with these people, and start to work with each other. What is so horrible about working with another trainer when your methods don't work? What is so horrible? It's all a learning process.
And now, see, the thing is, we're talking about different trainers. We're talking about Dog Daddy. We're talking about force-free trainers. But something you heard today, too, is there's some really jacked up, balanced trainers out there, too. She had some horrible experiences. I would never put a dog like Woo into bite work. I'm not a bite instructor, so I'm not, an expert in that. But he's a very insecure dog, and we just gave him a tool. And if you watch, every hit he does with me is straight out of bite work. I mean, he's going right for the same spot every single time. And then you have a guy who's just lighting your dog up with an e-collar and then telling you, he's not fixable, not redeemable. So it's not that balanced trainers are better. Balanced trainers use more tools, more aspects of training. We're using 4 quadrants within there. We're using positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, negative punishment. We're using everything that is within the laws of nature, how any animal would learn. Positive only uses really 1. In a situation where, like Wu, you have to tell Wu no. You have to tell him that is wrong. You have to show him other options, but you still have to tell him it's wrong. And so when we talk about this, I am all for positive only training and force-free training if that works for that dog. Where I have an issue with it is when they bash clients, when they attack trainers, when they try to pass laws that prevent us from being able to do the work that we do with dogs like Wu.
For dogs that need it.
Right. So for some dogs, easygoing dogs, yeah, positive reinforcement's great. Go for it. But for dogs with some severe behavioral issues, it's not applicable. And then to take trainers like the one who lit him up with an e-collar, and they're passing themselves off as balanced trainers when realistically they're heavy-handed abusers. Every tool we use can be a tool of abuse. Food is a tool of abuse. A flat collar can be a tool of abuse. It's how you use it. It's the intent that you have with it that matters. How does today go?
Amazing.
Today was our big test day for him, right? And so tell me your thoughts.
It was amazing. It was amazing to experience him loving to meet people. And also it was very healing for me to experience him wanting to approach people, happy to approach people, and getting all that love. It was wonderful.
So we're wrapping up this interview. Is there any final message you want to give to people out there whose dogs are in need? Don't give up. No matter what, do not give up on them. And please don't listen to anybody that points you away from whatever method that you are choosing to go with. You have to keep going towards what is best for your dog. And that's it. Excellent. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. So I think we learned a lot today. This experience has been, awesome with Wu. His mom is a trooper. I appreciate everything she's done and how she's leaned into the program. So we'll come up with a whole final episode for Wu so you guys get to see that and follow his stories. Biggest thing is find the right trainer. Find a trainer that has proven results, that can show you in film exactly what has happened. Doesn't claim certain things, but actually can prove it. Ask for references. Ask people that have used them. Do your research.
Trust your gut.
Definitely. All right, guys, next time. Take care.
Thank you.